The ultrasound room was cold and quiet. I was lying on the examination table, and Dr. Martinez was looking at the screen with a strange expression on her face. My husband, Derek, was holding my hand and smiling, waiting to see our baby for the first time. Then Dr. Martinez did something I will never forget. She turned off the screen so Derek couldn't see it. She looked straight into my eyes with a serious face and said in a quiet voice, "Mrs. Thompson, I need you to listen to me very carefully. You need to protect your baby from your husband. Do not let him near you when you're alone." My heart stopped. My hand went cold. Derek's smile disappeared from his face. What are you talking about?" I whispered, my voice shaking. Dr. Martinez glanced at Derek quickly, then back at me. Her eyes were trying to tell me something important, something urgent. "Trust me," she whispered. "Your baby's life depends on it." Derek stood up from his chair, his face turning red. "Excuse me? What did you just say to my wife?" Before Dr. Martinez could answer, 2 security guards rushed into the room. But let me go back to the beginning and tell you how I got to this terrifying moment. Where are you watching from? Drop your location in the comments. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button. We're trying to reach 100K subscribers, and your support means everything to us. My name is Sarah Thompson, and 6 months ago, my life was perfect. Actually, it was more than perfect. It was like a fairy tale. I was 28 years old and married to Derek Thompson, the man I thought was the love of my life. We had been married for 3 years, and every day felt like a dream. Derek was handsome, with dark hair and blue eyes that sparkled when he smiled. He was tall and strong, and he always knew how to make me laugh. Derek worked as a manager at a big company in the city. He made good money, and we lived in a beautiful house with a white fence and a garden full of roses. Everyone in our neighborhood thought we were the perfect couple. Our friends always said they wanted a relationship just like ours. But what made everything even more perfect was the news I got one sunny morning in March. I was pregnant. I remember that day so clearly. I had been feeling sick in the mornings for a week, and my period was late. I bought 3 pregnancy tests from the pharmacy, my hands shaking with excitement and nervousness. I took all 3 tests in our bathroom one after another. Positive, positive, positive. All 3 tests showed 2 pink lines. I was going to be a mother. I sat on the bathroom floor and cried happy tears. I had always wanted to be a mom. Derek and I had talked about having children many times, and he always said he couldn't wait to be a father. He would say things like, "I want a little girl who looks just like you," or, "I want to teach our son how to play baseball." I wanted to tell Derek right away, but he was at work, so I decided to surprise him with something special. I went to the store and bought a tiny pair of baby shoes, little white ones with soft fabric. I put them in a gift box with the positive pregnancy test and a card that said, "Daddy, I can't wait to meet you." When Derek came home that evening, I was so excited I could barely breathe. I met him at the door with the biggest smile on my face. "I have a surprise for you," I said, handing him the box. Derek looked confused but interested. He opened the box slowly, and when he saw the baby shoes and the pregnancy test, his face changed completely. His eyes got wide, his mouth opened, and then the biggest smile I had ever seen spread across his face. "Sarah, are we?" He couldn't even finish his sentences. "We're having a baby," I shouted. Derek dropped the box and picked me up, spinning me around in the living room. We were both laughing and crying at the same time. He put me down gently and put his hand on my still flat stomach. "There's really a baby in there?" he whispered, his voice full of wonder. "Yes," I said, putting my hand over his. "Our baby." That night was magical. Derek ordered my favorite food for dinner, and we stayed up late talking about baby names and what color we should paint the nursery. Derek wanted to start building a crib right away. He was so excited, so happy, so loving. For the next few weeks, Derek was the perfect husband-to-be. He went to every doctor's appointment with me. He held my hair back when I had morning sickness. He rubbed my feet when they got swollen. He read books about pregnancy and parenting. He even started talking to my belly every night before bed. "Hey there, little one," he would say softly, his lips close to my stomach. "This is your daddy. I love you so much already. I promise I'm going to take care of you and your mommy forever." Those moments made my heart feel so full of love I thought it might burst. Everything seemed perfect. But looking back now, I can see there were small signs that something was wrong. Small things that I ignored because I didn't want to believe anything could ruin our happiness. The first strange thing happened about 2 months into my pregnancy. I was at a regular checkup with my family doctor, Dr. Patterson. He was an older man with gray hair and kind eyes. He had been my doctor since I was a teenager, and I trusted him completely. During the appointment, Dr. Patterson asked me the usual questions about how I was feeling, if I had any pain, if I was eating well. Then he asked something that surprised me. "Sarah, how are things at home? How is Derek treating you?" I laughed. "Derek is amazing. He's so excited about the baby. He takes care of me constantly. I'm very lucky." Dr. Patterson looked at me carefully, like he was studying my face. "That's good to hear. But I want you to know that if anything ever changes, if you ever feel unsafe or uncomfortable, you can always tell me. Pregnancy can be a stressful time for couples, and sometimes people show sides of themselves we didn't know existed." I thought this was a very odd thing to say. Why would Dr. Patterson think I might be unsafe with Derek? But I just smiled and thanked him, thinking he probably said this to all pregnant women just to be careful. The second strange thing happened a few weeks later. My mother came to visit. My mom, Linda, lived about 2 hours away, and she was so excited about becoming a grandmother. She brought bags full of baby clothes and toys when she visited. Derek was very polite to my mother, but I noticed he didn't seem as happy to see her as usual. He stayed in his office working on his computer most of the time she was there, only coming out for dinner. After dinner, Derek went back to his office. My mom and I sat in the living room, folding the tiny baby clothes she had brought. "Sarah, honey," my mom said carefully, not looking at me while she folded a little yellow shirt. "Is everything okay between you and Derek?" "Of course, Mom. Why would you ask that?" "I don't know. He just seems different. A little distant, maybe?" I felt a flash of anger, which surprised me. Why was everyone questioning my relationship with Derek? "Mom, Derek is fine. We're fine. He's just busy with work. He's trying to save extra money for the baby." My mom was quiet for a moment. Then she put down the baby clothes and took my hand. "I'm sure you're right, sweetie. I just want you to be careful. Sometimes when big changes are coming, like a baby, people can feel stressed or scared. And sometimes that stress can come out in bad ways." "Derek would never hurt me, Mom," I said firmly. "You don't need to worry." My mom nodded, but she still looked concerned. "I know, honey. I'm just saying if anything ever feels wrong, you can always come stay with me. Anytime, day or night. You know that, right?" "I know, Mom. But I won't need to. Everything is perfect." Looking back, I wish I had listened more carefully to what my mom was trying to tell me. Around the 3rd month of my pregnancy, things started to change with Derek. The changes were small at first, so small I told myself I was imagining things. He started staying at work later and later. He said his company was working on a big project and he needed to put in extra hours. I understood. He wanted to make sure we had enough money for the baby. But when he came home, he seemed tired and irritable. He didn't talk to my belly anymore. He didn't ask how I was feeling. He just ate dinner quickly and went straight to bed, or he sat in front of the TV without really watching it, staring at nothing. One night, I tried to cuddle with him on the couch. "Derek, I miss you," I said softly, resting my head on his shoulder. "It feels like we never spend time together anymore." He moved away from me slightly. "I'm tired, Sarah. I've been working all day." "I know. But maybe we could just talk for a little while? The baby book I'm reading says it's important for the baby to hear both of our voices." Derek stood up suddenly, his face annoyed. "The baby is the size of a lemon right now, Sarah. Can't hear anything. Can you just give me some space? I need to relax." He walked away to our bedroom and closed the door. I sat on the couch alone, feeling confused and hurt. Derek had never talked to me like that before. Never. I told myself it was just stress from work. He would be back to normal soon. But things got worse. Derek started snapping at me for small things. If I asked him to pick something up from the store, he would sigh loudly like I was bothering him. If I talked about the baby, he would change the subject. If I suggested names, he would say, "We have plenty of time to think about that," in a cold voice. The worst part was the way he looked at me. Sometimes I would catch him staring at my growing belly with an expression I couldn't read. It wasn't the loving, excited expression from before. It was something else. Something that made me feel uncomfortable, though I didn't know why. One Saturday afternoon, about 4 months into my pregnancy, I was in the nursery painting the walls a soft blue color. Derek and I had decided we wanted to be surprised about whether the baby was a boy or girl, so we chose a neutral color. I heard Derek come into the room behind me. I turned around with a smile. "What do you think? Do you like this color?" I asked. Derek stood in the doorway, his arms crossed, looking at the half-painted wall. His face was blank. "It's fine," he said flatly. "Just fine?" "Derek, this is our baby's room. Aren't you excited?" He was quiet for a long moment. Then he said something that made my blood run cold. "Are you sure it's mine?" I dropped the paintbrush. Paint splattered on the floor. What did you just say?" "The baby. Are you sure it's mine?" I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Tears immediately filled my eyes. "Derek, how could you ask me that? Of course it's yours. How could you even think something like that?" He shrugged. "I don't know, Sarah. You just seem different lately. And this pregnancy happened pretty fast after we talked about it. Maybe you were in a hurry for a reason." "I can't believe you're saying this." I was crying now, my whole body shaking. "I have never, ever been with anyone but you since we got married. I love you. How could you accuse me of cheating?" Derek's face didn't change. He didn't apologize. He didn't take it back. "Forget it," he said. "I'm going out." He left the house, and I slid down the wall of the nursery, sitting in a puddle of spilled paint, sobbing. My perfect life was falling apart, and I didn't understand why. Derek came home very late that night, smelling like alcohol. He didn't apologize for what he said. He just went straight to bed. The next morning, he acted like nothing had happened. He made coffee and asked me if I wanted breakfast. I was so confused and hurt, but I was also scared. Scared of what was happening to my husband. Scared of what it meant for our family. I decided to talk to him calmly. "Derek, we need to talk about yesterday. About what you said." He kept pouring his coffee, not looking at me. "I don't want to talk about it." "But Derek, you accused me of..." "I said I don't want to talk about it," he shouted, slamming his coffee mug on the counter so hard I thought it might break. I jumped, startled. Derek had never yelled at me like that before. Not once in our entire relationship. He saw my scared face and his expression softened a little. "Sorry," he muttered. "I'm just stressed about work. Let's just forget about it. Okay?" I nodded, even though I knew we shouldn't just forget about it. But I was scared to push him, scared of how he might react. As my pregnancy progressed into the 5th month, Derek became more and more distant. Some days he was the old Derek, sweet and caring and excited about the baby. Those days gave me hope that everything would be okay. But other days he was cold and angry. He would make comments about money, about how expensive babies were, about how our life was going to change and not in a good way. He stopped coming to my doctor's appointments, always saying he had to work. My mom called often, asking how things were going. I lied and said everything was fine. I was embarrassed to admit that my perfect marriage wasn't so perfect anymore. And part of me still believed Derek would go back to the way he was before. Finally, the day came for my big ultrasound, the 20-week anatomy scan. This was when we would see detailed pictures of the baby and make sure everything was developing normally. I had been looking forward to this appointment for weeks. I asked Derek if he could come with me. At first, he said no, he had an important meeting. But I started crying. The pregnancy hormones made me very emotional. And he finally agreed, though he didn't seem happy about it. The appointment was at Cedar Valley Women's Health Center. It was a nice, modern building with soft music playing in the waiting room and pictures of happy families on the walls. Derek and I sat in the waiting room, not talking much. He was looking at his phone, typing messages to someone. I tried to peek at the screen, but he angled it away from me. Who are you texting? I asked. Work, he said shortly. But it's Saturday. The project doesn't stop on weekends, Sarah. I fell silent, feeling hurt again. Finally, a nurse called my name. Sarah Thompson? Derek and I stood up and followed the nurse down a hallway. But instead of going to the regular examination room, she led us to a special room with ultrasound equipment. There was a big screen on the wall and an examination table. The doctor will be right with you, the nurse said with a smile. You can go ahead and lie down, Mrs. Thompson. The ultrasound gel might feel a little cold. I lay down on the table and lifted my shirt to expose my round belly. Derek sat in a chair against the wall, still looking at his phone. A few minutes later, the door opened and a woman walked in. She was in her mid-40s with dark hair pulled back in a ponytail and kind brown eyes behind wire-rimmed glasses. Hello, I'm Dr. Martinez, she said warmly. I'll be doing your ultrasound today. Is this Dad? She nodded toward Derek. Yes, I said. This is my husband, Derek. Nice to meet you both. Are you excited to see your baby? Very excited, I said. Derek just nodded, barely looking up from his phone. Dr. Martinez squirted the cold gel on my belly and picked up the ultrasound wand. She pressed it against my skin and moved it around, looking at the screen. Okay, there we go, she said. There's your baby. I looked at the screen, and my eyes filled with happy tears. I could see the baby clearly, the head, the little arms and legs moving, the tiny fingers and toes. It was the most beautiful thing I had ever seen. Oh my God, I whispered. Derek, look, that's our baby. Derek looked up at the screen for a moment, but his face didn't show much emotion. He just nodded and looked back at his phone. Dr. Martinez was quiet for a while, moving the wand around my belly, clicking buttons on her computer to take measurements. She was very focused on the screen, studying it carefully. Too carefully. Her eyebrows came together, and she leaned closer to the screen. She moved the wand to a different position, then another one. She was quiet for a long time. Is everything okay? I asked, starting to feel worried. Is the baby all right? Yes, the baby looks healthy, Dr. Martinez said, but something in her voice was strange. She kept looking at the screen with an intense expression, like she was trying to figure something out. She measured different parts of the baby, the head, the legs, the arms. She took picture after picture, more than seemed normal. I started to feel really nervous. Dr. Martinez, what's wrong? Why are you taking so many pictures? She didn't answer right away. She kept studying the screen, her face serious. Then she did something very strange. She angled the screen away from Derek so only I could see it clearly. Derek didn't notice, he was busy texting on his phone. Dr. Martinez looked at me, then at Derek, then back at me. Her face had changed. She looked worried. No, not just worried. She looked scared. Mr. Thompson, she said to Derek. There's a vending machine in the waiting room. Would you mind getting your wife something to drink? She needs to stay hydrated. Derek looked up, annoyed. Can't she wait until after the appointment? It's important, Dr. Martinez said firmly. The baby's position is making the scan difficult, and keeping Mrs. Thompson hydrated might help. Could you get her some water or juice? Derek sighed loudly, clearly irritated, but he stood up. Fine, I'll be right back. As soon as Derek left the room and the door closed behind him, Dr. Martinez's entire attitude changed. She quickly locked the door, then came back to my side. Her face was very serious, and her hands were shaking slightly. Mrs. Thompson, she said in a low, urgent voice, I need to tell you something very important, and I don't have much time before your husband comes back. My heart started beating fast. What's wrong with the baby? The baby is perfectly healthy, she said. But I saw something on the ultrasound that concerns me very much. Something about your baby's features. What do you mean? What features? Dr. Martinez looked at the door, then back at me. She spoke quickly, her words tumbling out in a rush. Mrs. Thompson, I've been doing ultrasounds for 20 years. I've seen thousands of babies. The baby you're carrying has very distinct facial features that are already visible. Very distinct coloring and bone structure. Mrs. Thompson, unless you or your husband have African ancestry, this baby is not his. The world seemed to stop spinning. Couldn't breathe. Couldn't think. What are you saying? I whispered. I'm saying your baby has features that suggest the father is a black man. Your baby appears to be biracial. If your husband doesn't know this, if he's expecting a baby that looks like both of you, there's going to be a very serious problem when this baby is born. I felt like I was going to faint. But that's impossible. I've never been with anyone else. Only Derek. There must be a mistake. Dr. Martinez shook her head. I know what I'm seeing. I'm very sure about this. Mrs. Thompson, I need you to listen to me very carefully. If your husband doesn't know about this, you could be in serious danger when the baby is born and he sees it for the first time. Some men become violent in situations like this. You need to protect yourself and your baby. But I'm telling you, there's been a mistake. I've never cheated on Derek. This baby has to be his. Mrs. Thompson, I understand this is shocking, but suddenly we heard footsteps in the hallway. Derek was coming back. Listen to me, Dr. Martinez said quickly, grabbing my hand. I'm going to say this out loud when he comes back in, because you need to hear it and you need to take it seriously. Your baby's life might depend on it. Do you understand? Before I could answer, Derek was knocking on the locked door. Why is this door locked? He called from outside. Let me in. Dr. Martinez took a deep breath. She unlocked the door and let Derek back in. He was holding a bottle of water and looking suspicious. Why did you lock the door? He asked. Hospital policy during certain types of examinations. Dr. Martinez lied smoothly. Here, Mrs. Thompson. Sit up and drink some water. I sat up slowly, my mind spinning with confusion and fear. This had to be a mistake. It had to be. But Dr. Martinez wasn't done. She looked at me with those serious eyes and said what she needed to say. Mrs. Thompson, based on what I'm seeing in this ultrasound, I have some concerns. I need you to listen to me very carefully. Derek came closer, his attention finally pulled away from his phone. Concerns? What kind of concerns? Is something wrong with the baby? Dr. Martinez kept her eyes on me, not Derek. The baby is healthy, but I'm concerned about the home situation. Mrs. Thompson, I need you to protect your baby from your husband. Do not let him near you when you're alone. The words hung in the air like a bomb that had just gone off. Derek's face went from confused to angry in 1 second. What did you just say? I said she needs to protect her baby from you. Dr. Martinez repeated, her voice steady but her hands shaking. Your baby's life might depend on it. Derek's face turned bright red. He took a step toward Dr. Martinez, his hands clenched into fists. What the hell are you talking about? Who do you think you are, saying something like that? I was frozen on the table, unable to move or speak. This couldn't be happening. This had to be a nightmare. Dr. Martinez didn't back down. She pressed a button on the wall, an emergency button, and within seconds, 2 security guards rushed into the room. What's going on here? One of the guards asked. This doctor just accused me of. I don't even know what she's accusing me of, Derek shouted. She told my wife to protect the baby from me. I want to know why. Dr. Martinez stood firm. Sir, I need you to calm down. I have concerns about the safety of my patient and her baby based on what I'm seeing. Based on what? The ultrasound? What did you see on the ultrasound that makes you think I'm a danger to my own child? The guards moved closer to Derek, ready to grab him if he made any sudden moves. I finally found my voice. Dr. Martinez, please, tell us what's going on. You said the baby has features. You said something about the father, but Dr. Martinez shook her head. I can't discuss this further right now. Mrs. Thompson, I'm going to give you a card with resources for women in dangerous situations. I strongly urge you to use them. Dangerous situations? Derek roared. I have never laid a hand on my wife. Not once. What gives you the right to? "Sir, you need to leave now," one of the security guards said, putting a hand on Derek's arm. Derek shook the hand off violently. "Don't touch me. Sarah, get up. We're leaving. This crazy doctor doesn't know what she's talking about." But I couldn't move. I couldn't think. Nothing made sense. Dr. Martinez came close to me and whispered in my ear, so quietly that only I could hear. "The baby is not his. You know it, don't you? Deep down, you know. And when he finds out, he will hurt you. Leave him before the baby is born. Please." Then she pressed something into my hand. A card with a phone number on it. Derek was being escorted out of the room by the security guards, shouting and cursing. Other hospital staff were gathering in the hallway, alerted by the commotion. I sat there on the examination table, my hands on my pregnant belly, my mind completely broken. Dr. Martinez's words kept echoing in my head. "The baby is not his. The father is a black man. You need to protect your baby from your husband." But how could that be possible when I had never, ever been with anyone except Derek? How could that be possible when I had never cheated? How could my baby not be Derek's baby? And then, like a flash of lightning in my brain, a memory came rushing back to me. A memory I had completely forgotten. A memory that made everything make terrible, horrible sense. And in that moment, sitting on the examination table with security guards escorting my furious husband out of the building, I realized that Dr. Martinez might be right. My baby might really be in danger from Derek. But not for the reason she thought. The truth was so much worse than anyone could imagine. The memory hit me like a truck. I sat there on the examination table, my whole body shaking, as the pieces of a puzzle I didn't even know existed started falling into place. 6 months ago, the company party, the drink that tasted strange. Oh God, oh God, oh God, oh God. My hands flew to my mouth as the full horror of what happened crashed over me like a dark wave. "Mrs. Thompson? Sarah?" A nurse was standing beside me, looking worried. "Are you okay? You look very pale. Do you need to lie down?" I couldn't speak, couldn't breathe. The room was spinning around me. I need to go home," I finally managed to whisper. "I need to go home right now." The nurse helped me sit up slowly. "Your husband was escorted out of the building. We can call you a taxi? Or is there someone else you can call?" My husband, Derek, who had been acting so strange since I got pregnant. Derek, who accused me of cheating. Derek, who asked if the baby was really his. Because Derek knew. Somehow, Derek knew what had happened to me that night. The night I couldn't remember. And he knew the baby wasn't his. Let me tell you what I suddenly remembered. Sitting in that ultrasound room with my world falling apart. 6 months ago, Derek's company had a big celebration party. They had just landed a huge client, and Derek's boss rented out an entire fancy restaurant for the night. All the employees were invited, and spouses could come too. I remember being excited to go. I bought a new dress. A pretty green one that Derek said made my eyes look beautiful. I did my hair and makeup carefully. Derek and I drove to the restaurant together, holding hands in the car. The party was loud and fun. There was music playing, and tables full of food and drinks. Derek's coworkers were all there with their wives and girlfriends. Everyone was laughing and celebrating. Derek introduced me to people I hadn't met before. His boss, Mr. Harrison, who was a big man with a loud laugh. His coworker James, who told funny jokes. His assistant Marcus, who was Marcus. My stomach twisted as I remembered Marcus. Marcus was a tall black man, probably in his early 30s, with kind eyes and a warm smile. He shook my hand when Derek introduced us and said, "It's so nice to finally meet you, Sarah. Derek talks about you all the time." I remember thinking Marcus seemed very nice, very polite. Derek had left me alone for a few minutes to talk to his boss about something. I was standing by the drinks table, feeling a little awkward because I didn't know anyone very well. Marcus came over to me. "Not much of a party person?" he asked with a friendly smile. "Oh, I like parties," I said. "I just don't know many people here." "Well, let me fix that," Marcus said. "Come on. I'll introduce you to some of the friendlier people here. And here, I made this drink for you, It's a specialty cocktail the restaurant created just for tonight. It's really good. He handed me a red drink in a fancy glass. It looked pretty, with a slice of orange on the rim. I took a sip. It was sweet and fruity. I couldn't really taste much alcohol in it, so I drank it fairly quickly while Marcus introduced me to other people. And that's where my memory got fuzzy. I remembered feeling dizzy. I remembered the room starting to spin. I remembered Marcus holding my arm, asking if I was okay. I think I had too much to drink, I said, my words slurring. I don't feel good. Let me help you, Marcus said. There's a private room in the back where you can sit down for a while. Come on. The next thing I remembered clearly was waking up in our car. Derek was driving and he looked angry. Very angry. His hands were gripping the steering wheel so tight his knuckles were white. Derek, I said groggily. My head hurt so bad. What happened? I feel terrible. You got drunk? Derek said in a cold, hard voice. You embarrassed me in front of my entire company. I only had one drink, I said, confused. I don't understand. Well, you must have had more than you remember, Derek snapped. You passed out. Marcus had to carry you to a back room. It was humiliating, Sarah. I'm sorry? I whispered, feeling ashamed even though I didn't understand what had happened. I really only remember having one drink. Derek didn't talk to me the rest of the way home. When we got home, I ran to the bathroom and threw up. I felt sick for 2 days after that party. I thought I had the flu or food poisoning, but I didn't have the flu. And now, sitting in that ultrasound room, I understood what had really happened that night. Marcus had drugged me. Marcus had taken me to that private room. And Marcus had... I couldn't even finish the thought. It was too horrible. Mrs. Thompson, your taxi is here, the nurse said gently, touching my shoulder. I stood up on shaky legs. My mind was racing, trying to make sense of everything. If Marcus had drugged and raped me that night, that would explain why I couldn't remember what happened. That would explain why I got pregnant so quickly afterward. It happened right around the time I would have been ovulating. But that meant this baby growing inside me wasn't Derek's baby. It was Marcus's baby. And Derek knew. But how did Derek know? How could he possibly know what happened in that private room? Unless Derek had been there. Unless Derek had seen something. Or unless Derek had planned the whole thing. No, that was crazy. Derek would never do something like that. He loved me. He wouldn't. But the way he had acted that night, so angry, so cold. The way he accused me of getting drunk, of embarrassing him. He didn't act like a concerned husband. He acted like he was angry at me for something. I got in the taxi and gave the driver my address. My phone started ringing. It was Derek calling. I didn't answer. He called again and again. I turned off my phone. When the taxi pulled up to our house, I saw Derek's car in the driveway. He was home. He was probably inside, waiting for me, angry about what happened at the hospital. I was terrified to go inside, but I had nowhere else to go. My mom lived 2 hours away, and I didn't have enough cash for a taxi to take me that far. I paid the driver with shaking hands and walked slowly to my front door. I put my key in the lock and turned it, my heart pounding so hard I could hear it in my ears. Derek was sitting on the couch in the living room. When I walked in, he stood up. His face was red, and his hands were clenched into fists. What the hell was that? He shouted. What did you tell that doctor? Why would she say you need to protect the baby from me? I took a step back toward the door. Derek, please calm down. I didn't tell her anything. She just looked at the ultrasound and said. Said what? I took a deep breath. My whole body was shaking, but I had to know the truth. I had to ask him directly. Derek, what happened that night at the company party? 6 months ago. What really happened? Derek's face changed. The anger drained away, replaced by something else. Fear? Guilt? What are you talking about? He said, but his voice wasn't strong anymore. It was quiet, nervous. I only had one drink that night, I said, taking another step back toward the door. One drink that Marcus gave me. And then I can't remember anything until I woke up in the car. Derek, what happened to me in that private room? Derek's face went pale. He sat back down on the couch and put his head in his hands. Sarah, he started but then stopped. Tell me the truth, I shouted, tears streaming down my face. Tell me what happened. Did Marcus drug me? Did he rape me? Derek looked up at me, and I saw something in his eyes I had never seen before. Guilt. Terrible, horrible guilt. It wasn't supposed to happen like that, he whispered. My legs almost gave out. I grabbed the wall to steady myself. What do you mean it wasn't supposed to happen like that? Derek, what did you do? Derek started talking, his words tumbling out in a rush, like he had been holding them in for months and they were finally exploding out of him. The company was going to promote either me or Marcus to senior manager. It was going to be announced that night at the party. The promotion came with a huge raise and a corner office. I wanted it so bad, Sarah. I needed it. But Marcus was the favorite. Everyone liked Marcus. He was going to get the promotion, and I was going to be stuck in the same position forever. I stared at Derek in horror. What are you saying? I had a plan, Derek continued, not looking at me. I was going to get Marcus drunk and get him to do something embarrassing in front of the boss. Something that would make Mr. Harrison see that Marcus wasn't responsible enough for the promotion. But then I thought, what if I could get him to do something even worse? Something illegal that would get him fired? Derek, no. I whispered. I put something in the drink Marcus made for you, Derek said quietly. A sedative. I thought Marcus would try to flirt with you after you drank it, and then I would discover him trying to take advantage of my drunk wife. Mr. Harrison would see it, Marcus would get fired, and I would get the promotion. It was perfect. Couldn't breathe. I couldn't process what I was hearing. But it didn't work out the way you planned, I said slowly, the horrible truth becoming clear. Because Marcus didn't just flirt with me. He took me to that private room and raped me while I was unconscious from the drug you put in my drink. Derek's face crumpled. I didn't know he would do that. I thought he was a good guy. I followed him when he carried you to the back room, but there was a lock on the door. I tried to get in, but I couldn't. And I couldn't make a scene because then everyone would ask questions about why you were so out of it, and they might figure out that I drugged you. So you just let it happen, I said, my voice deadly quiet. You let him rape me because you were worried about getting caught for drugging me. I didn't know for sure that he was. I thought maybe he was just letting you sleep it off. Derek's excuses were weak, and he knew it. When did you know? I demanded. When did you know that he raped me? Derek was silent for a long moment. Then he said, I saw him come out of the room about 20 minutes later, fixing his shirt and belt. And I saw the camera on his phone. He was looking at something on his phone and smiling. I knew then what he had done. I felt like I was going to vomit. He recorded it? He recorded himself raping me? Derek nodded miserably. And you didn't go to the police? You didn't tell me? You just brought me home and told me I got drunk and embarrassed you. I couldn't tell the police. They would want to know why you were so drugged, and then I would go to jail too. And I couldn't tell you because I knew you would leave me. I knew you would hate me forever. So I hoped you would never remember. I hoped it would just go away. But then I got pregnant, I said, understanding flooding through me. And you knew the baby might be Marcus's. I wasn't sure at first, Derek said. I thought maybe we had been trying to get pregnant, so maybe the timing worked out and the baby was mine. I prayed it was mine. But then as the pregnancy went on, I kept thinking about that night. And I kept wondering. And when you told me you were pregnant, I counted back the days and I realized it probably happened right around the time you would have been most fertile. So you started treating me terribly? I said, anger rising in my voice. You started accusing me of cheating. You started acting cold and distant. You made me feel like I had done something wrong when you were the one who drugged me. You were the one who let me get raped. I know, Derek shouted, standing up. I know it's my fault. I know I'm a terrible person. But I was scared, Sarah. I was scared of losing you. I was scared of everyone finding out what I did. I was scared that the baby would come out looking like Marcus and everyone would know. Did you get the promotion? I asked suddenly, a horrible thought occurring to me. Derek looked at the floor. Yes. So you got what you wanted. You destroyed my life, you let me get raped, you drugged me, and you got your promotion. It wasn't worth it, Derek whispered. None of it was worth it. I've been living in hell for 6 months, Sarah. Every day I look at you and I see what I did to you. Every day I hate myself more. Good, I said coldly. You should hate yourself. Because what you did to me is unforgivable. We stood there in silence for a long moment. Then I asked the question I needed answered. Does Marcus still work at your company? Derek nodded. Yes, but he doesn't know about the baby. I've kept him away from you. I made sure he wasn't at any company events you came to after that night. He needs to go to jail, I said firmly. What he did to me was rape. It doesn't matter that you drugged me. He made the choice to assault an unconscious woman. He's a rapist, and he needs to pay for what he did. But Sarah, if we go to the police, they'll investigate everything. They'll find out I drugged you. I'll go to jail too. I looked at my husband. This man I had loved. This man I had trusted with my whole heart, and I felt nothing but disgust. You should go to jail, I said. You should absolutely go to jail for what you did to me. You drugged me. You put me in that situation. You're just as guilty as Marcus. Derek's face went white. Sarah, please, think about the baby. If I go to jail, how will you support yourself? How will you take care of the baby? Don't you dare, I said, my voice shaking with rage. Don't you dare use this baby to manipulate me. This baby that exists because you drugged me and let me get raped. Please, Sarah, I'm begging you. I'll do anything. I'll go to therapy. I'll be a better husband. I'll help you raise the baby, even if it's not mine. Just please don't go to the police. Please don't destroy our lives. I laughed, but it was a bitter, angry sound. Our lives? Derek, you already destroyed my life. The question is whether I'm going to let you get away with it. I walked past Derek to our bedroom and pulled out a suitcase from the closet. I started throwing clothes into it, not caring what I grabbed. What are you doing? Derek asked from the doorway. I'm leaving. I'm going to my mom's house, and I'm going to think very carefully about what I'm going to do next. Sarah, please, we can work this out. Get out of my way, I said, pushing past him with my suitcase. I grabbed my purse, my phone charger, and the card Dr. Martinez had given me. Then I walked out the front door. Derek followed me to my car. Sarah, please, I love you. I made a terrible mistake, but I love you. I turned to face him, tears streaming down my face. You don't love me, Derek. You love yourself. If you loved me, you never would have drugged me. If you loved me, you would have broken down that door to save me from Marcus. If you loved me, you would have told me the truth the next day instead of letting me believe I got drunk and embarrassed you. I was scared, Derek said, crying now too. I don't care, I said coldly. I was scared too. I've been scared and confused for 6 months, wondering why my perfect husband suddenly hated me, wondering if I was a terrible wife, wondering if I was going crazy. You let me suffer all that fear and confusion because you were too much of a coward to tell me the truth. I got in my car and started the engine. Derek stood in the driveway watching me go. As I drove away from the house, away from my old life, I thought about everything that had happened. My mind was a mess of emotions. Anger, sadness, betrayal, fear, and underneath it all, a tiny spark of something else. Relief. Relief that I finally knew the truth. Relief that I wasn't crazy. Relief that Dr. Martinez had somehow seen something in that ultrasound that made her warn me, even if her warning wasn't for the reason she thought. I drove for 2 hours to my mom's house, crying the whole way. When I pulled into her driveway, she came running out of the house. She must have seen my face through the car window, because she immediately looked terrified. Sarah, what happened? What's wrong? I got out of the car and collapsed into my mother's arms. Mom, something terrible happened. Something so terrible. And I didn't even know it happened until today. My mom held me tight, rubbing my back like she did when I was a little girl with a scraped knee. "Come inside, baby. Tell me everything." We sat in my mom's living room, and I told her the whole story. About the party, about the drug, about Marcus, about Derek's confession, about the baby. My mom's face went through 100 different emotions as I talked. Shock, horror, rage, sadness. When I finished, she was crying too. "Oh, Sarah. Oh, my sweet girl. I'm so sorry this happened to you." "What do I do, Mom?" I asked, feeling like a lost child. "What do I do about Derek? What do I do about Marcus? What do I do about this baby?" My mom took my hands in hers. "First, we're gonna call the police. What Derek and Marcus did to you was a crime, multiple crimes. They need to pay for it. But Mom, if I report it, everyone will know. Everyone will know I was raped. Everyone will know the baby isn't Derek's. My whole life will be destroyed." "Your life is already destroyed, honey," my mom said gently. "Derek destroyed it. But you have a choice now. You can let him get away with it and spend the rest of your life living with this secret, or you can fight back. You can make sure he and Marcus face consequences for what they did." "I'm scared," I whispered. "I know you are, but you're also strong. Stronger than you know. And I'm going to be with you every step of the way." I thought about Dr. Martinez's warning. Protect your baby from your husband. She was right, just not in the way she thought. I did need to protect my baby from Derek. Not because he would be violent when he discovered the baby wasn't his, but because Derek was a dangerous, selfish person who had shown he would sacrifice me and my safety for his own benefit. What kind of father would a man like that be? "Okay," I said, taking a deep breath. "Let's call the police." My mom called the police, and 2 officers came to her house that night. They were very kind and professional. A woman named Officer Chun and a man named Officer Rodriguez. I told them everything, start to finish. It was the hardest thing I've ever done. Saying out loud what had happened to me. Admitting that I had been drugged and raped and that my own husband had been part of it. Officer Chun took notes while I talked, her face serious but sympathetic. When I finished, she said, "Sarah, I want you to know that what happened to you was not your fault. Not any of it. You were the victim of 2 separate crimes. Your husband drugged you without your consent, and Marcus sexually assaulted you while you were incapacitated. Both of those men committed serious felonies. What will happen now?" I asked. "We'll open an investigation," Officer Rodriguez said. "We'll need to interview Derek and Marcus. We'll need to get medical records from your doctor documenting your pregnancy. And if Marcus recorded the assault like Derek said, we'll need to get that video as evidence." I felt sick thinking about that video existing somewhere. "Do I have to watch it?" "No," Officer Chun said firmly. "You never have to watch it. The video is evidence of a crime against you, and we'll handle it." "What about Derek?" I asked. "What will happen to him?" "If what you've told us is true, Derek will likely be charged with several crimes, administering drugs without consent, conspiracy to commit assault, possibly others. He could face significant prison time. I should have felt happy about that. I should have felt satisfied that Derek would pay for what he did. But mostly I just felt sad. Sad that the man I loved never really existed. Sad that my fairy tale marriage was built on lies. Sad that my baby would be born into this terrible situation. "What about the baby?" I asked quietly. "Will I have to tell everyone that the baby was conceived during—" I couldn't finish the sentence. Officer Chun reached over and squeezed my hand. "That's up to you, Sarah. How you choose to explain your child's parentage is your decision. But I will tell you this, that baby is innocent. That baby didn't do anything wrong. And you have every right to love and raise that baby regardless of how they were conceived." "What if I can't?" I whispered. "What if every time I look at this baby, I think about what Marcus did? What if I can't love them?" My mom put her arm around me. "Sarah, you don't have to make any decisions about that right now. You have months before the baby is born. Take that time to heal, to process everything, to figure out what you want. Maybe you'll decide to raise the baby. Maybe you'll decide to give the baby up for adoption. But whatever you decide, I'll support you." The officers stayed for another hour, asking more questions and explaining what would happen next. When they left, they said detectives would be in touch within a few days to continue the investigation. After they were gone, I sat on my mom's couch feeling numb and exhausted. My phone had been buzzing nonstop with calls and texts from Derek, but I hadn't looked at it. "You should block his number," my mom said. "You don't need to hear whatever excuses or manipulations he's going to try." She was right. I blocked Derek's number. I blocked his email. I blocked him on every form of social media we had. Then I called Dr. Martinez. I wanted to thank her for warning me, even though she didn't know the real reason I needed that warning. She answered on the second ring. "Sarah, are you okay? I've been so worried about you." "I'm safe," I told her. "I'm at my mom's house, and you were right. I did need to protect my baby from my husband, just not for the reason you thought." "What do you mean?" So I told her the whole story. When I finished, she was silent for a long moment. "Sarah, I am so sorry," she finally said. "I had no idea. I just saw the baby's features and thought, well, I thought you had cheated and that your husband might react violently when he found out. I never imagined." "You couldn't have known," I said. "But your warning made me remember what happened that night. If you hadn't said something, I might never have asked Derek for the truth. So thank you." "Have you gone to the police?" "Yes, just now. They're going to investigate." "Good," Dr. Martinez said firmly. "Those men need to face justice for what they did to you. And Sarah, if you need anything, medical care, counseling, someone to talk to, please call me. I'm here for you." After I hung up with Dr. Martinez, I finally let myself think about the baby. This baby growing inside me was half Marcus, a man who had raped me while I was unconscious, a man who had recorded it, a man who probably never thought about what he did to me again. But this baby was also half me. This baby had my DNA, my genes. This baby was innocent. I put my hand on my belly and felt a small flutter, the baby moving. "I don't know what to do," I whispered to the baby. "I don't know if I can be your mom. But I promise you one thing, I will protect you. I won't let Derek near you. I won't let Marcus near you. Whatever happens, I'll make sure you're safe." The next few weeks were the hardest of my life. Detectives came and interviewed me multiple times, asking me to repeat my story over and over, looking for any inconsistencies. I knew they had to do this. They had to make sure I was telling the truth, but it was exhausting and traumatic to keep reliving that night. They arrested Derek first. My mom and I watched the news report on TV. The reporter said, "Local businessman Derek Thompson has been arrested on charges of administering drugs without consent and conspiracy to commit sexual assault." I felt a strange mix of satisfaction and sadness watching Derek being led away in handcuffs. Then they arrested Marcus. His arrest was bigger news because the charges against him were more serious: rape, video voyeurism, and other crimes. The detectives found the video on Marcus's phone, just like Derek said they would. They told me I never had to see it and I never wanted to. What I didn't expect was how public everything would become. The story hit the local news. Then it hit the national news. "Ambitious employee drugs own wife to frame coworker, leading to wife's rape" was one headline. Another said, "Pregnant woman discovers husband orchestrated her sexual assault." Reporters started showing up at my mom's house. My phone number somehow got leaked, and I got hundreds of calls from people. Some supportive, some cruel, some from tabloid reporters wanting my story. The worst part was the internet. People who didn't even know me were sharing opinions about me, about my baby, about what I should do. Some people were supportive. "That poor woman. I hope she gets justice. Those men are monsters. I'm so sorry this happened to her." But others were cruel. "Why didn't she realize she was drugged? She must have known something was wrong. Why is she keeping the baby? How could she not remember being raped?" I stopped reading the comments. I stopped watching the news. I focused on taking care of myself and the baby growing inside me. I found a good therapist who specialized in trauma. Dr. Sarah Okonkwo was a kind woman who helped me process what had happened and figure out how I felt about the baby. "You're allowed to have complicated feelings," Dr. Okonkwo told me in one of our sessions. You can love this baby and also feel angry about how they were conceived. You can want to be their mother and also grieve for the life you thought you would have. All of those feelings can exist at the same time. I keep thinking about the future, I told her. When the baby is older, what do I tell them? How do I explain where they came from? That's a bridge you'll cross when you come to it, Dr. Okonkwo said. Right now, focus on healing. Focus on deciding if you want to raise this child. Everything else can wait. The court cases moved slowly. Derek and Marcus both got lawyers. Both of them pleaded not guilty, which meant there would be trials. My lawyer, Ms. Patricia Thompson, no relation to Derek, thankfully, prepared me for how difficult the trials would be. They're going to try to attack your credibility, she warned me. Derek's lawyer will probably argue that you're making this up to get revenge on Derek for something. Marcus's lawyer will probably argue that the sex was consensual and that you only claimed it was rape after you found out you were pregnant. But there's video evidence, I said. The video shows me unconscious. I know, Ms. Thompson said, and that will help your case enormously. But juries can be unpredictable. You need to be prepared for anything. As my belly grew bigger and bigger, I had to make a decision about the baby. My mom and Dr. Okonkwo helped me think through my options. I could raise the baby myself. I could give the baby up for adoption. I could give the baby to family members to raise. I thought about it for weeks, praying and crying and talking to everyone I trusted. And finally, I made my decision. I was going to keep the baby, not because I had to, not because society expected me to, but because, despite everything, when I felt that baby move inside me, when I saw the ultrasound pictures, when I thought about holding them in my arms, I felt love. I felt love for this innocent person who didn't ask to be created this way. I felt love for this baby who was part of me, regardless of who the father was. The baby didn't do anything wrong, I told my mom. The baby is a victim in this situation just like I am. And I'm not going to punish the baby for what Derek and Marcus did. My mom hugged me tight. I'm so proud of you, Sarah. You're going to be an amazing mother. Derek's trial came first, 7 months into my pregnancy. I had to testify. I had to sit in front of a courtroom full of strangers and tell them about that night, about Derek's confession, about everything. Derek's lawyer tried to make it seem like I was lying, like I was angry at Derek for some other reason and making this up. But then they played Derek's confession. The detectives had recorded our conversation that day I confronted him. Derek hadn't known I was wearing a wire. The police had asked me to go back to the house and try to get Derek to confess on tape. Hearing Derek's voice admitting what he did, hearing him say, I put something in the drink, and I thought it would help me get the promotion. It was devastating but also validating. The jury deliberated for 2 days. Then they came back with their verdict. Guilty on all charges. Derek was sentenced to 8 years in prison. I felt nothing when I heard the verdict. No satisfaction, no anger, just emptiness. Marcus's trial was 3 weeks later. I was 9 months pregnant by then, so big I could barely fit in the courtroom seats. Marcus's trial was even harder to sit through. His lawyer tried to argue that I had wanted to have sex with Marcus, that I had been flirting with him all night at the party. But the video proved otherwise. The video showed me completely unconscious. It showed Marcus knowing I was unconscious and assaulting me anyway. The jury took only 4 hours to come back with their verdict. Guilty on all charges. Marcus was sentenced to 15 years in prison. When the verdict was read, Marcus turned and looked at me for the first time during the whole trial. I expected him to look angry or defiant. Instead, he just looked sad and ashamed. I'm sorry, he mouthed to me. I turned away. His apology meant nothing. Changed nothing. 2 weeks after Marcus's trial ended, I went into labor. My mom drove me to the hospital at 3 in the morning. I was scared and in pain but also strangely calm. Dr. Martinez was there, along with a whole team of doctors and nurses. They were all so kind and supportive. You're doing great, Sarah, Dr. Martinez kept saying as I pushed and screamed and cried. Just a little more. Your baby is almost here. And then, after 8 hours of labor, I heard it. A cry. A tiny, perfect cry. It's a girl. Dr. Martinez announced, holding up my baby. A girl. I had a daughter. They cleaned her and wrapped her in a blanket and put her in my arms. And when I looked down at her tiny face, with her big eyes and little nose and perfect mouth, I fell completely and totally in love. She had dark skin, darker than mine. She had thick, curly black hair. She looked like Marcus, there was no denying it. But she also looked like me. She had my nose, my mouth, my chin. She was beautiful. She was perfect. She was mine. "Hello, Maya," I whispered, using the name I had chosen. It meant miracle because that's what she was. A miracle that I could love this baby so much despite everything. Maya opened her eyes and looked at me, and I swear she smiled. "I'm your mama," I told her softly, tears running down my face. "And I'm going to protect you and love you for the rest of my life. I promise." It's been 6 months since Maya was born, and my life is completely different from what I imagined it would be. I live with my mom in her house. I'm going back to school to finish my degree in nursing. Something I had given up when I married Derek, but something I always wanted to do. Maya is growing so fast. She laughs now, and she's trying to roll over. She loves music and being outside in the sunshine. People still recognize me sometimes from the news coverage of the trials. Sometimes they're kind. Sometimes they're cruel. I've learned to ignore both reactions. The important thing is that Maya and I are safe. We're healing. We're building a new life. Derek writes me letters from prison sometimes. I don't read them. I just throw them away. Marcus also wrote to me once. His letter said, "I know I can never undo what I did. I know I destroyed your life. I don't expect you to forgive me, but I want you to know that I think about what I did every single day, and I'm so sorry. If there's ever anything I can do to make it right, any way I can help you or the baby, please let me know. I'll sign away all parental rights. I'll pay child support if you want. I'll disappear completely if that's what you want. Whatever you need, just tell me." I thought about that letter for a long time, and I wrote back one sentence. "Stay away from us. That's what we need." He hasn't contacted me since. Sometimes people ask me if I'm angry, if I hate Derek and Marcus for what they did to me. And the truth is, I don't think about them much anymore. They took enough from me. I won't give them my mental energy to. Instead, I focus on Maya, on her smile, on her laugh, on the way she reaches for me when she wakes up from a nap. I focus on my future, on finishing school, on becoming a nurse, on building a good life for my daughter. Dr. Okonkwo told me something in our last therapy session that really stuck with me. "Sarah, you survived something terrible," she said. "Something that would have broken many people. But you didn't just survive, you fought back. You told the truth. You made sure the men who hurt you faced consequences. And then you chose love over hate. You chose to love this baby even though it would have been so easy to resent her. That takes incredible strength." "I don't feel strong," I admitted. "I feel tired and scared most of the time." "That's what strength looks like in real life," Dr. Okonkwo said with a smile. "It's not about never being scared or tired. It's about getting up every day and doing what needs to be done anyway." She was right. Every day I get up. I feed Maya. I change her diapers. I sing to her. I read to her. I study for my classes. I work my part-time job at the hospital. Every day is hard. But every day I'm building something new, something better. And you know what? I'm happy. Not the naive fairy tale happiness I had with Derek. That was built on lies anyway. This is a real, deep, hard-won happiness. The happiness of knowing I survived. The happiness of looking at my daughter and seeing hope instead of pain. The happiness of knowing that I didn't let what Derek and Marcus did define me or destroy me. Last week, I ran into someone from Derek's company at the grocery store. She recognized me and came over. "I just wanted to say I'm so sorry for what happened to you," she said. "Everyone at the company was shocked when we found out what Derek and Marcus did. If we had known, if any of us had suspected." "It's okay," I told her. "You couldn't have known. How are you doing? How's the baby?" I smiled a real smile. "We're doing good. We're going to be okay." And that's the truth. Maya and I are going to be okay. Not because what happened to us was okay. It wasn't, and it never will be. But because I made a choice to fight for our future instead of being trapped by our past. Dr. Martinez was right when she warned me to protect my baby from my husband. She just didn't know she was warning me to protect Maya from Derek's selfishness and cowardice. Not from his reaction to her appearance. And I did protect her. I got us out. I told the truth. I made sure Derek and Marcus faced justice. Now, every night before Maya goes to sleep, I hold her close and whisper the same promise I made the day she was born. I'm your mama, and I'm going to protect you and love you for the rest of my life. That's a promise I intend to keep. Thank you so much for watching this story all the way to the end. Sarah and Maya's journey was painful but ultimately hopeful, showing that even from the darkest situations, we can find the strength to rebuild and move forward. If the story moved you, please like this video and subscribe to our channel. We work hard to bring you powerful, emotional stories every week, and your support means everything to us. Drop a comment below telling us what you thought about Sarah's decision to keep Maya and fight for justice. Would you have made the same choice? What would you have done differently? And remember, if you or someone you know is experiencing a situation like Sarah's, please reach out for help. You are not alone. There are resources and people who care and want to help you. Until next time, take care of yourselves and each other. See you in the next story. Don't forget to subscribe.